Hey, welcome to the broadcast. John Mayfield, thank you so much for joining. And we are going live on YouTube, and we're also going live on our Facebook Global Real Estate School account. I'm not going live on too many other platforms. This is for Global Real Estate School students and also students, or I should say agents with my brokers who subscribe to Easy Sales Meetings. So trying to add some value added content. I need to make sure one quick thing is up and running. So I'm going to very quickly, I hit the live button and I should have checked this, but I think we're getting some audio sound here. Looks like we are. And then I need to jump over here to the board and make sure that has sound as well. And it does, but I'm going to change this one to, I was going to change this to a different microphone, but I am not seeing that as an option. So I've got to get that fixed before we go back to live on the board. And hopefully I've got that plugged in. I'm not understanding why that's not showing. So let me make a quick change here very quickly. We'll try this and see if that gives me an option for my other microphone. If not, I can probably do a workaround here. So let me see very quickly here. I'm going to jump over to the screen and see if for some reason that is not allowing me to check a different sound. So I don't know what the problem is there. Testing 1, 2. Let's see. Give me 1 second. We're going to go live here, and my apologies. I sure thought I had everything working correctly, and may have to try one more item here. Technology, always a challenge, right? Let's see if this will work here. I am trying to get my... Okay, let's go back over to the board and see if I can change that to... Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to just swing my microphone over that way when I go over to the board, and hopefully that'll work. So my apologies. Gosh, 4 minutes and we've had some technical issues. So let me kind of bring you up to speed what we're doing here. I love to listen to audiobooks, love to read, and doing a lot of online marketing research. And what I'm finding is there are a couple of things that, and this has been something that I've been passionate about for a long time. If you want to differentiate yourself as a real estate professional or whatever you do, you have to show some value to the customer. And one of my goals for a long time has been to create an additional platform, which I have created now. I'm calling it a Global Real Estate Academy, or my Business Tech Guy University. And what's there, what I'm doing is I'm creating free content for Global Real Estate School students. Now, I have a brand new program as well. I'm helping brokers with training, and I'm helping them with sales meetings, and I'm helping them with recruiting. It's called Easy Sales Meetings, and the recruiting aspect has a different title, but brokers who sign up for Easy Sales Meetings get access to my sales meetings and a lot of other resources, including some scholarships that they can provide for students who might want to go to the school. Keep in mind the brokers are paying for that, so nobody's getting any kind of a free ride or anything. But there are some brokers out there who would like to recruit, and so they're signing up for a subscription service through me to get access to my sales meetings and a lot of other resources that I'm providing, including some scholarships that they can provide to the school. So with that is an online portal through My Business Tech Guy University. And from there, I have training courses on listing, selling, a lot of different things that their agents have free access to. So if your broker wants to subscribe, or you think they should, have them go to easysalesmeetings.com. Okay, Easy Sales Meetings, EASY. I've also registered EZ, but easysalesmeetings.com. They can find out all the information right there. So let me kind of get back to why I'm doing this today. I want to begin doing some live professional development, sales training. And this, today I'm doing this live on YouTube. In the future, these will be live on Zoom, and only my Easy Sales Meeting members, their agents, so if the broker subscribes, their agents will have access to these live meetings. And by the way, they will all be recorded, and Global Real Estate School students. Okay, so it's if you go to Global Real Estate School, you will be invited to all of these trainings, and you will also have access to the Business Tech Guy University, or my academy, however you want to call it. And there, I'm going to have resources to help you grow your real estate career. Okay, let's talk about that. I own Global Real Estate School. I've been in real estate since I was 18, 1978. Many of you know that. Have this school. It's doing very well. We're offering courses in 9 states. My real passion, and I mean this with every ounce of energy in my body that I'm telling you, I mean this with every part of me. I don't know if that's a right word. My wife keeps a list of all these goofy things I say, but so that could probably be added with the list. But here's my mission, or my desire. Yeah, I want to have people go through Global Real Estate School and take my course. That's how I make a living. But my real desire is for you to prosper. I do not want to take your money, see you get your real estate license, invest in all the time and energy, and hear that you drop out 4 months later because you never got training from your broker or from the office you were at. It doesn't have to be that way. And so how can I solve that problem? How can I be different than the other schools that are out there? Well, I love, and I get hired and paid a lot of money to go train agents all around the country, all around the world, actually. I just signed a opportunity, or working on finalizing an opportunity in Panama for later this year. Why can't I take my talents and my resources and pour them back into my Global Real Estate School students? So that's what I want to do. So if you're watching this today and you're like, hey, what school should I go to? You could go to a competitor. You might find something at a lower price, but you can come to Global Real Estate School and you're going to get the resources, the training, you're going to pass the test, and then you're going to have me after you pass the test, to help you get up and get running. Now, naturally, not all of my materials will be free. There'll be some things if you want to upgrade, kind of a menu of services, you can. But I'm going to give you enough information and enough access to enough stuff that you're going to be able to do very well as a real estate professional, okay? So today I wanted to talk about generating leads, and my apologies at the beginning. I had some trouble there. I want to go over to my board and do some talking, but for some reason, when I tried to change over to the board, I'm not able to find my other microphone that I need. So I don't know what's happening there. I can probably swing this microphone around that we're using, and probably you'd be able to hear me okay, and it'll pick up. So we'll probably do that as well. So let's talk about generating leads. There are two books here that I want to talk to you about. And number one, the first book that I want to tell you about, and I've been following this guy for a long time, and actually I think I kind of backed into what he was teaching and training to his agents years ago. I mean, when I first got in the business, I think he was in the business before I got my license back in the mid 1970s. But what he was teaching, it's a book called Ninja Selling. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm going to put that up there. By his name's Larry Kendall. There it is right there. I'm telling you what, this book right here will change your life as a salesperson. If you follow his plan, you'll succeed at real estate. Trust me, or any other sales career you're in. I've used the same principles Larry teaches. I'm not a high-pressured salesperson. Larry doesn't teach that. I do some things that Larry, talks about that are profitable. Well, I shouldn't say are profitable. You can make money doing them, but they're going to take a little bit longer. But there's a good book I would highly recommend you listen to. And we'll talk about that, because one of the things that Larry talks about early in the book was missing from my sales career back when I was listing and selling a lot. Now, I still did very well as an agent. I was a top producer. But I think if I'd had that first ingredient or piece to that puzzle, man, no telling what I could have done. Okay, so Ninja Selling, Larry Kendall. I listen to more audiobooks than I do read books. This book, I actually have both the hardbound cover and, I'll bring this over here, the hardbound cover, and I also have it on audio. I really like audio because he has interviews with agents and different people, and there's like 3 different narrators in the book. And so to me, it's kind of interesting to hear the different voices, and it keeps the book kind of exciting. And this is called Millionaire Agent. It's by Gary Keller, who started Keller Williams. I'm not saying, I'm not advocating that you go to work for Keller Williams, and because I know Gary wrote this for just real estate agents, okay? If you follow Gary's plan or Larry's plan, and by the way, Larry and Gary kind of have they were in the business, started about the same time, I think. Larry was talking today on the audiobook. I was listening about the 8x8, and Gary talks about the 8x8. They've always had an 8x8 as well. So those 2 books, I would highly recommend you invest and read them and read them again, or listen to them if you're like me, and listen to them again, because they'll change your life, and they will help you succeed as a real estate agent. Larry offers a program called Ninja Selling. I think it's a pretty expensive program to go through. But he will tell you agents who've gone through that program are just knocking it out of the park. And I'm talking about, and Larry will mention in there, the average number of transactions some agents do are only 6 per year in the United States. That's probably fallen down further by now. But Larry will tell you people who've gone through his program are doing 6 to 9 a month, not a year. So what is it that makes some agents really get out there and do well and others just kind of run out of steam? I think it's like anything. First of all, you have to have the right mindset. Now, that's the piece that Larry talks about early on in his book. And Gary, it's been a while since I've read Gary's book. Gary probably talks about that as well. But Larry really gets into the whole subconscious mind and reprogramming your mind and doing some different things. It's interesting. I downloaded the book. And I listened to it yesterday coming back from Kansas City. And he was talking about always starting your day out with something positive, a time of gratitude. Larry mentions if you're going to have a vision board, that's great, but you always need to have that time of gratitude before your vision board. Talks about affirmations. There was a long time in my life where I really thought people who did affirmations were goofy and silly. And then in 2008, when my wife and I kind of ended up where we had, had a late spring freeze and I'd lost my job and I'd signed a non-compete clause and we were $1 million in debt and we had to start over and I didn't file bankruptcy, man, I just kept telling myself I was a loser and nothing would, that's my luck and nothing's going right. And then I thought, man, I gotta change this. And so I started listening to Zig Ziglar tapes and I started, getting all these old motivational CDs out. And then I downloaded this book called TNT, It Rocks the Earth. And it's from the 1950s. And I listened to that book. It was only about an hour long and man, it was a spark was lit underneath me. And then I listened to this book by Joseph Murphy called How to Attract Money. And that was interesting because Larry talks about Joseph Murphy in his book and the power of the subconscious mind. So it really starts with your attitude. And that's the one piece I didn't have. I have it today. I got it back in 2008 and 9 when I went through all those trials and tribulations. I mean, I really said to myself, I can't keep going down this same path. I gotta get back on the right path. And I knew the only way I could do that was to start listening and reading positive books. And then I was being introduced to this concept of affirmations. And I'm telling you what, it's changed my life. It's been huge for me. So that's the first step. Now, how do we generate leads? And I'm going to come back and talk a lot more about affirmations and positive mindset and some of that in a future episode. What I wanted to talk about today was really for you as a real estate agent or someone who's going to get their real estate license, how do you generate leads? Okay. Now I am going to go over to the board and it's going to show a black board right now. Do not panic because my little timer has just knocked the screen off, but we'll get back on. And I hope you can hear me okay. I am trying to see if the board is working. Let's see. It looks like we're getting sound. So, okay. I know the volume may not be as high as I would like for it to be. My wireless microphone, for some reason, it did not turn on. So that's okay. We'll keep moving through. So let's talk about leads, because naturally you've got, you have to generate leads if you want to make money, right? I mean, if you don't have leads, you won't have money. I had a guy years ago when I first got in the business, and his name was Dan Bixby, great guy. Dan bought and sold a lot of properties through our company. And I remember Dan saying to me, back when I first got my license, Dan said to me, John, remember, listing is existing. And I'm here to tell you that it's true. If you don't have listings, it's going to be a lot more work and it's going to be more challenging for you as a real estate professional. Now, am I saying never work with buyers? No, you're going to have to work with buyers. That's very important, and you're going to have a lot of buyers out there. But I want you to understand this is a lot easier to generate listings and make money. I've had agents who've worked for me who worked other jobs as teachers or nurses, and they had their real estate license. They worked part-time. I hear people say all the time, well, you're going to have to work full-time. You know, that's a bunch of bull. I've been in this business 45 years. I've seen part-time people make more money than full-time people. The only difference is they worked it like a full-time job. They worked it every day. They were consistent coming in. You know, when I say every day, the school teachers that worked for me who made more money than many of my full-time people, they came in every day at 3:30 and would be at the office till 6:30 or 7 now. Or they would be out showing property, or they were working the business. But they would get listings, and think about this, at 10 o'clock in the morning, and back then it was a little bit more challenging. If Susie from XYZ Realty wanted to show that listing at 10 a.m., Donna will say, is a school teacher, it's her listing. She's at school working a job, earning a check, right, from the school district. Well, Susie calls our office, wants to show Donna's listing. Donna's at the school. Susie goes out, shows it, writes a contract. Well, guess what? Donna can present that when she gets off work, and she's still going to make money, but she didn't have to go out and drive those people around, and they looked at a dozen houses and so forth and so on. So what I want you to understand here is listings don't take as much time. Sure, you're going to have to go out and get all the room measurements, and you're going to have to do all of that front-end work, but once it goes in the MLS, that's when all of these other agents are going to be working, because they have people that are looking for stuff like that. I always tell my clients that the chances of me selling their property are very slim. It's probably going to be someone else from another company. My job is to help market. My job is to be a negotiator, to help them get the most they can get out of the price, and to consult them and be there. And so, you know, there's lots of things that I'm going to be doing for my client, but the chances of me selling it are probably going to be very slim. So you get listings, it won't take up as much time, and you're going to make very good money, and that will just snowball. Okay, so we've got to get leads, and where's the first place we should need to start? Well, I think you need, and a lot of people call this your SOI. Thought I had done that incorrectly for a minute. Your sphere of influence. My friend Corky Hyatt, we FL, there needs to be an L there, UENCE. Corky used to call this your raving fans. You know, was it Stephen Covey that said, who are your raving fans, right? So your circle of influence, your sphere of influence, but these are going to be your friends, your family, people you've worked with, people you go to church with. I love a good friend of mine that her name's Kim Hayden. She's been on one of my podcasts, but Kim actually has a circle, and she carves it out like where people say, where do I get these names at? And she's like, well, you have your church group over here, and you've got maybe your neighborhood here, people in your neighborhood. You could just go on and on with all of these different groups, and then from there you start carving out, who do I want to put on my list? And you know what? You probably need a good 200 names on that list that you need to try to talk to. So let's think about that for a minute. I'm just going to walk you through, and by the way, this group right here is the group you want to work, okay? Every year, and I have it on my hard drive right down here below me. Actually, I think it's in my Dropbox. Every year I get the profile of home buyers and sellers from the National Association of Realtors, and I could take you back to 2003 or 4, I think. And the number one response, always, year in and year out, the number one response when asked, how did you find your agent? People would say, through the recommendation of a friend, family member, or coworker. All right? Larry Kendall says that, and he has all the research, and if you buy his book or listen to it, he'll explain it in there for you. But most everyone in our neighborhood or our list, they know 4 people who will buy or sell this year. 4 people. So think about that. And you have, according to Larry, they all know 4 people, and like the odds, if you get a referral from one of them, is 2 out of 3 will do business with you. I have so many speakers and friends and people who talk about this topic all the time, and it just makes sense. If I refer someone to you, the chances of them wanting to go ahead and do business with you are so much greater because that recommendation's coming from a friend of yours. And so you really have to work your sphere of influence. So the first order of business, and we're not going to go real long today, I want you, if you do not have a database, to put together a list of people that you know, your sphere of influence. It's got to start with that. I was just thinking about this, and I don't list and sell as much anymore. I just work past clients and customers. And I could probably send a lot of stuff out to those people, but then I would be so inundated with real estate work that I couldn't have an opportunity to work on my school, on my sales meetings, product. And you got to go back and understand, I've sold real estate for 45 years. I love it. It's in my soul and my blood, but I'm having fun doing what I'm doing right now. I love doing the teaching and training and the speaking, and I like to do a little bit of the other now just because I want to stay in the trenches. But if I was going to start doing my sphere of influence, if I decided I'm going to get back in and start selling full time and give up the school or sell the school, whatever, let's just start with my neighborhood. If I walk down the street, well, I know a couple, I won't mention names, but I know a couple on the left-hand side, they'd be on my list. If I go around the corner, I know another couple there. I'd put them on. If I go around the corner, there's another couple there. He used to be president of one of the financial institutions. I know him and his wife. I'd put them on my list to contact. Going back around the other street, there's a couple around the corner. They actually bought and sold property from me, and he's retired now, but they'd be on my list. The people 2 doors back this way would be on my list. The people next door, they bought and sold their house next door to me and their farm for me. They would be on my list. So right now I've got, and if I'm just counting as each couple as one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names right there. Families, 6 that are on my list right there. And I could go up. There's another lady up around the block. I've sold her house. She probably will be selling any day. I think she'll probably call me when she's ready to do that because we're very good friends. Around the street the other way, I have 2 people I know. I mean, just in my neighborhood, I could probably come up in my subdivision. I know I could come up with 25 to 30 names right there. And I haven't even got to my church folks that I know or people that I just knew growing up. And so you really have to start with that. You've got to start putting those names together. The second thing is once you get those into a database, sometimes people say, well, John, what kind of database should I use? I heard yesterday at this conference I was at, what's the best database? Actually, it was Monday, whichever one you use, okay? But you know what? Use an Excel spreadsheet. Use a Google spreadsheet. Put them in your phone, and put a notation so you can sort by them or tag them. But somehow you need to get them into a database because you're going to start communicating with them. And you're going to need to communicate with them consistently and every month. Now, sometimes I've had people say to me, well, I've been selling real estate for a while or I sold these people a home 2 years ago and I haven't said anything to them. What do I say to them? And I was on a podcast interview a couple of weeks ago with a lady who has a podcast, and she asked me that question. We were talking about just calling and doing different things. And she said, what do you say to people if you haven't contacted them for a while? And if you're hearing water running in the background, my wife and I have one of those aquatic gardens. And so it's watering the lettuce. And by the way, I have lots of extra lettuce. If anybody needs some, just let me know. We love that little garden. We raise a lot of things in it, but it goes off periodically. So hopefully you can't hear it. But I told Jen on this podcast, I said, what do you say to somebody if you haven't contacted them for a while? You send a letter or you call them and you say, hey, first of all, I want to just tell you I dropped the ball. I should have been staying in touch with you over the last 2 years, and I haven't, and I'm sorry. Just be honest. I think there's nothing wrong with that. If you're new in the business, I'm gonna work with you to give you some ideas on how you can start introducing yourself, and we're gonna do that on the next issue. But I really want your homework is this. I want you to begin getting a list of your sphere of influence, the people around you, because we need to work that group extra hard, okay? That's the list Larry says you got to work diligently. That's where all of his agents focus their attention. Yes, you can get leads, and we'll talk about it, putting out door hangers. You can get internet leads, or you could pay for internet leads. I can show you, and I will show you, how to do some really cool things on the internet to get some leads. But your greatest return on your time and in your investment is right here with your sphere of influence. Trust me, okay? So I want you to get that list together. I want you to go through, and then on the next session that we do next week, I'm going to show you how to kind of categorize that list, okay? And when I say categorize, we're going to like break it up into a couple of segments, because some of these people will contact pretty regularly. Some people we may not contact as regularly, but that's going to be our first order of business, is to get our names into a spreadsheet or some type of list that we can keep, okay? So I want you to work on that. And I want you to think about those two books, Millionaire Agent, more of a business type of running your business like a business, very good book. And Gary gives some great advice on how you can grow your career. Or check out that book called Ninja Selling by Larry Kendall. It's a great book, and I think Larry's even got a podcast you can listen to as well. They are going to help start moving you in the direction that you need to go to grow your real estate career. But we got to get that sphere of influence list down first, okay? Because that's the group we're going to start targeting. And next week, we're going to really look at what do we say to that group and how do we begin to position ourselves so that when they think about real estate, they think about us, okay? Whether you know it or not, you are now in a political race. It's who will get the real estate vote, all right? And you will if you do the things we're going to talk about. Now, let's go back to mindset for just a second with what Larry said, because you really need to start practicing and taking some time, first of all, of gratitude, and secondly, having some affirmations, all right? I want you to start saying things. Larry will tell you that in the book when you download it. I enjoy listing and closing 10 properties every month, or 10 or more properties a month. I enjoy closing 10 properties every month. Now, Larry says, put a number down and then double it. Because when you double it, and I did that yesterday, driving back, I said, I enjoy selling this much worth of classes every month. And then he said, double it. And I was like, okay, I enjoy. And then that little voice in my head said, can you really do that? That's impossible. And then I said, yeah, I can. And I've been saying that because, see, we have to reprogram our mind and do that all the time. And I want to tell you what, and I'll close with this for today on our sales meeting. I want to keep these short, but I want to give you work to do, and I want you to be accountable for it. So you're going to get your sphere of influence. Now, if you've already got your list together, that's great. But if you've never put that together, I want you to work on that first. But here's what I want to leave you with. When my wife and I went to the blueberry farm and built our home, we owned a home that we sold, and we really weren't ready to sell it. Another agent loved our home, had some people from California, drove them by our home. They wanted our home. She kept calling me, John, would you sell your house? I said, we're just not ready to build at the farm yet. But, maybe in a couple of years, she was persistent. And finally, I said, okay, we'll list the, give you a one-time showing. And people bought our home. So we go build our home on the farm. It was no big deal. We got a loan, built our dream home, go to the farm. I sell my company. I go to work for the bank. And in a matter of a few weeks, a couple of months, I'm unemployed with a non-compete clause, and we had a late spring freeze and lost our entire crop and had to sell everything. We had to start over. My wife and I would drive by our old home all the time, and we would say to ourselves, why did we sell that house? We loved it there. Probably could have made it, through all of that had we not sold our home. But we were living in a smaller house, which was okay, but, we were trying to make do, and it needed a lot of work, and we didn't have the money to fix the house up. we owned it, so I was grateful for that. And I'm listening to tapes, and I'm starting to say affirmations and trying to change my mindset. So I'm showing this house right behind our old house that my wife and I drive by and say, why did we sell that house? I'm showing it to some buyers. We go out in the backyard, we're looking around, and they love this house that I'm showing them. And I'm looking head on to my old house. We had 2 lots. We'd put in a beautiful koi pond with this patio and gazebo, put a brand new deck on the house. It had all these really, really cool shade trees. And I'm looking at my old home. I'm standing there in the backyard with these buyers. I'm looking at my old home. And a voice said, well, there's your house, John. You'll never be able to buy a home like that again. That's what my voice said. And I said, no, I won't accept that. I refuse to accept that. I had to get that negative thought out of my mind. There I am looking at my home that I never wanted to sell. My wife and I drive by all the time. And that voice says, you'll never own a home like that again. Well, affirmations are goofy. Positive books, what Larry tells you to do, some people are going to say it's goofy. Let me just tell you this. Right now, where I'm broadcasting live from is that old home of mine that voice said I'd never, ever be able to own a home like that again. I'm in my old home. My wife and I bought our old home back. And you know what? It never would have happened if I hadn't got my mind all changed. My wife encouraged me to start my real estate school, which I did. Now I'm in 9 states and we're doing great. And I'm having the time of my life doing things like this, but I want you to succeed and do well as a real estate agent. You're going through my school. You want to prosper. I want to help you get there. I want to help you make a living. I want global real estate school students to never leave the business unless you just hate it and you don't like it. But I don't want you leaving the business because you couldn't make any money. And so we got to start with the mindset. Very big, very important. And we'll be talking about that next week. And you've got to start with your sphere of influence. Now, I'm going to give you lots of other ideas. Don't panic. We're going to talk about all kinds of ways to generate leads. That's what this is all about. But today, I just want you to get started on building that sphere of influence list and start thinking about and start, writing it down that I like selling, and whatever number of houses it is each month, I want you to double it. Okay. So if you said, I like selling 10 houses a month, I want you to double it and put 20. And that voice is going to say no. And you're going to say, get away from me, negative subconscious mind. I can do that. And then next week, we'll talk about how you do that. Larry talks about how you do that. And part of that is writing down for 7 minutes, write down 25 times, 2 or 3 times a day, what those goals are, what you want to accomplish. And let me tell you what, it'll change your life. In fact, the minute we hang up from this, I'm writing down my number that I have. And I was saying it yesterday. I enjoy seeing my school sell this much in courses every month because that audacious goal I have requires me to say that and do that. So, and how am I going to do that? Because I'm going to offer more value back to people who want to get their real estate license by doing these types of training. Now, you're watching this today. Next week, when we do this, it's going to be invitation through Zoom, and it's only for global real estate school students or brokers who subscribe, brokers and their agents who subscribe to Easy Sales Meetings. So if your broker's not subscribed to that, you need to get them to go to Easy Sales Meetings and subscribe. If you are an agent and you did not go to Global Real Estate School, well, we'll have some kind of subscription plan you could take advantage of. So reach out to me and we'll make something work. But if you're a Global Real Estate School student, it's free and part of what you paid me to go to my school. So, hey, thanks for watching today. I want these to kind of be very laid back, and I apologize about the technical glitch at the beginning. I am going to cut that piece out, and this recording's going into the Business Tech Guy University, and all of the Global Real Estate School students will have access to that. And so you can watch the recording back there, and you won't have the technical stuff that we had to deal with here, the first 4 minutes. So, hey, thanks for watching. Have a great day. What's your homework? Get your sphere of influence together. And I want you to try to get 200 names. It's very important. People you know, and we're going to start working on that list next week, okay? Have a great evening. I will talk to you soon. Bye.